Somebody in New York City looked out their window or turned a corner or was just minding their business on a regular Monday afternoon and saw Bad Bunny running through the streets, not performing, not being chased, not in a music video, just running through New York City in the days leading up to the Met Gala 2026, like a man who had somewhere to be and decided that the sidewalks of Manhattan were his personal running track, and the rest of the city could figure it out. The internet, predictably, lost its mind. Photos circulated, videos circulated. People on social media started doing what they always do when Bad Bunny appears in an unexpected context. They analyzed it like a crime scene, theorized like detectives, and argued about what it meant like it was a piece of ancient scripture that required expert interpretation. And then the confirmation dropped. Bad Bunny will officially be at the Met Gala 2026. Now, most people hear that and think, cool, great, another celebrity at fashion's biggest night. Moving on. But if you have been paying attention to this man's career, to the deliberateness behind every move he makes in public, to the fact that nothing he does is accidental, the Met Gala appearance deserves more than a scroll past, because the question is not whether he showed up, the question is what he is about to say when he does. Shh, turn the volume up, but keep it low. This is Rap Deepest Secrets, the one place the labels can't control, exposing the codes, the cover-ups, the real cost of fame. Now back to the video. The Met Gala is not just a party for famous people in expensive clothes. It is the most visible intersection of fashion, art, celebrity, and cultural power that the American entertainment industry produces in a single evening every year. The theme, the outfits, the choices artists and celebrities make about how to present themselves on those steps, all of it gets dissected, discussed, and archived as a document of where culture was at a specific moment in time. Who gets invited says something, how they show up says something, what they choose to wear says something, and who decides to use the platform to make a statement versus who simply shows up to be seen. That distinction, year after year, separates the guests who become moments from the guests who simply attended. Bad Bunny has not historically been a fixture of the Met Gala circuit. He is not a Fashion Week regular in the way that some artists build their cultural brand around the fashion industry. His relationship with style has always been deeply his own, distinctive, intentional, rooted in an identity that does not require external validation from the fashion establishment to feel legitimate. He does not chase the fashion world, which is exactly why the fashion world, when it does get him, pays attention. And in 2026, after the Super Bowl, after the Grammy, after the Billboard record, after the world tour selling out the largest venues on multiple continents, Bad Bunny walking those Met Gala steps is not a fashion moment, it is a cultural moment. There is a difference, and the difference matters. Let us go back to the running, because the internet treated it as a funny sighting, a paparazzi moment, a glimpse of a celebrity caught off guard doing something unexpectedly human. And it was funny. It was very funny. The image of one of the most famous people on the planet just jogging through Manhattan like he is late for the subway is inherently, genuinely hilarious. But here's what is also true. Bad Bunny does not end up in front of cameras accidentally. The man who rehearsed for 3 weeks in Las Vegas to make the Super Bowl halftime show look effortless. The man who dropped an entire short film with his Grammy-winning album to make sure the cultural message was delivered with the depth it deserved. The man who has consistently, across an entire public life, controlled his image with a precision that most artists never reach. That man does not just stumble into a paparazzi shot while running through New York City days before the biggest fashion event of the year. Whether the moment was spontaneous or not, what it communicated was exactly what everything else he does communicates. He moves on his own terms. He exists in public spaces the way he exists in everything else, present, unbothered, doing exactly what he wants to do without performing it for an audience or apologizing to anyone. He was running through New York City, and the city adjusted around him, which, if you have been following this story, is basically the thesis statement of his entire career. Hold on, because the twist in this story is not about the running, and it's not about the red carpet look. The twist is about what Bad Bunny's presence at the Met Gala in 2026 specifically represents, after this particular year, with everything that has already happened, and why the fashion world choosing this moment to fully embrace him is more suspicious than it looks on the surface. Before we get there, subscribe to the channel right now. Hit the button, turn on notifications. This channel takes the celebrity sighting and finds the cultural story underneath it, the meaning behind the moment, the question the headline didn't ask. Subscribe, then stay, because the twist changes how you see this entire evening. Here's the question that nobody in the Met Gala coverage is going to ask, and it's the most important one. Why 2026? Bad Bunny has been one of the most famous people on Earth since at least 2020. He's been selling out stadiums globally since 2022. He's been culturally dominant, not just in Latin music, not just in Spanish-language markets, but across every metric that the American entertainment industry uses to measure relevance for years. He was the most streamed artist on Spotify for 3 consecutive years. He won a Grammy for Album of the Year. He headlined the Super Bowl. He was doing all of that before the Met Gala decided it was time for him to be there. And that timing, the fact that the fashion establishment is opening its arms to Bad Bunny in 2026, after it has become impossible to ignore him, after the institutional recognition has stacked up high enough that not including him would look like an oversight rather than a choice, that timing tells you something about how institutions work. They don't discover talent, they ratify it after the audience has already decided, after the culture has already moved, after the artist has already built something so undeniable that the institution's endorsement becomes a formality rather than a discovery. The Met Gala is not welcoming Bad Bunny in 2026 because he is new. It is welcoming him because he has been too significant to exclude for long enough that exclusion would now be the story rather than inclusion. And he, being exactly who he is, will walk those steps in a look that will generate conversation, photography, and cultural analysis for weeks. Not because the Met Gala made him relevant, but because he arrived already being exactly who he is, and the institution finally caught up. That is the pattern. That is always the pattern with him. The Grammys caught up. The Billboard records acknowledged what the audience already knew. The Super Bowl stage confirmed what 3 consecutive years of being the most streamed person on Earth had already established. And now the Met Gala steps are next in the line of institutions that are not elevating Bad Bunny, they are documenting him. Documenting a reality that the audience built and the institutions are now officially recognizing as history. He was running through New York City because he had somewhere to be. He always has somewhere to be. The city adjusts. The institutions adjust. The world adjusts. That is what he does. That is what he has always done. And 2026 is just the year the Met Gala finally figured out what everyone else already knew. Strip the fashion away for a second. Strip the red carpet, the photographers, the theme, the outfits, the social media posts. Look at what is actually happening when Bad Bunny walks into the Met Gala in 2026. A Puerto Rican man who grew up in Vega Baja, who started his career on SoundCloud, who built his entire global presence without compromising a single bar of Spanish or a single piece of his cultural identity. That man is walking into one of the most prestigious, most photographed, most institutionally significant events in American cultural life, not because he changed himself to get there, because he stayed exactly the same until the room had no choice but to change around him. That is the story, not the look, not the theme, not whoever he arrives with or what he says on the red carpet. The story is that the room changed. Again, like it has been changing, steadily and undeniably for the last decade. And if you have been watching closely enough, you already knew this was coming. You just needed the invitation to confirm what the culture had already decided. He was running through New York City. Of course he was. The man is always moving. The city was watching. The institutions are catching up. And somewhere on those Met Gala steps, in a look that he chose on his own terms for reasons that are entirely his, the story continues exactly where it has always been going. Bad Bunny was spotted running through the streets of New York City ahead of the Met Gala 2026. He is officially confirmed to attend, and underneath the paparazzi photo and the fashion coverage and the red carpet moment is a story about an institution finally acknowledging what the audience decided years ago, that this man belongs anywhere he decides to show up, on his terms, in Spanish, without asking permission. He was running. The city adjusted. That is the whole story. That has always been the whole story. If this channel is where the celebrity sighting becomes the cultural analysis and the moment becomes the meaning, subscribe right now. Hit the notification bell, drop a comment. What do you think Bad Bunny's Met Gala look is going to say? Because knowing him, it will not just be fashion. It will be a statement. And this channel will be here to break it down. See you then.